Okay, we're up to ושי, and we begin with a medrash from Medrash Rabbi by Yikra, where it tells the story that the Jewish people, while they are encamped by Har Sinai and they declare Nasa v'nishma, we will do it first and then we will hear. So the medrash says, look, if something is difficult for two people to carry, for one person to carry, he gets a partner and two people carry. Something's difficult for two people, they get four people. Is it possible that something like Torah, which is seemingly too difficult for even the 600,000 to carry, that one person is going to carry it? Every Jew stood and said, if you will add to us, we will. And Moshe heard their words himself. And he's going to live. I mean, the Jewish people couldn't, quote, tolerate the intensity of the infinity of Hashem. How could Moshe Rabbeinu? There's 600,000. Moshe's only one. And that's why Hashem had to call to Moshe. This is going to be a theme in the Mimer about how the overwhelming revelation at Har Sinai was able to be funneled to the Jewish people through Moshe Rabbeinu. The point being, as is explained in Parshas Matos on the pasuk, that Hashem says to Moshe, this is what you should say, that Moshe had nevuah in the status of zeh, this, very specific, the revelation of Hashem, in contrast to revelations that are koi, like this, similar. Moshe Rabbeinu's nevuah was precise and clear. And this was what the Jewish people experienced at Matan Torah. And that's why zeh, this was difficult for even 600,000 to accept, because it was a revelation of godliness on the level of chachmila was so overwhelming that they couldn't. However, Moshe Rabbeinu, who is the union of koyach ma, the willingness to be amazed, to go to something completely outside of himself, like it says, but Moshe says, vנחנו ma, I am this characteristic called ma, that is uncertainty, not defined, which is not the case of the 600,000 who come from the six, that is the defined directions, the four directions up plus up and down, which are midos, they're defined, therefore they're rigid, and they were intolerable of the infinite expression of godliness. And that's why they experience parcha nishmas, and the neshama is leaving, like the pasuk says, the neshama is left with their every word. That's in Shir Hashirim, because the revelation of this intensity, the way it was, that Hashem is the reality, and we are the fictional. Hashem is the yesh, and we are the ayin, whereas we ordinarily think of yesh being us, coming from ayin, from Hashem. At the revelation of Sinai, Hashem was the yesh, and we were the ayin. That this is a revelation called chachmilah, a level that is outside of the rigidity of the defined character. And that's why it says to hear the words of his voice, that only Moshe was able to hear it, because he is the mightiest of them, and not talking about physical strength, but again, of his stature, that Moshe Rabbeinu was 10 amos tall, 10 representing the 10 complete spheres as they are in Atzilis, that begins with, and thus includes, Chachmilah, the highest level of Chachma, which is why Moshe Rabbeinu was capable of tolerating and accepting this level of godliness, which the ordinary Jews were not. And this is the idea of the koyach ma, of chachma, the capacity for tolerance of ma, the unknowable. And from there it draws out the power of bittul all the way down to Mesiras Nefesh. Now, through Moshe, they were able to accept and hear his words. And this was through the mightiest of them. That koyach is 28, 2 times 14. 14 is yad, like it says, raise up yadechem, your hands of holiness, and through this they will execute your words, they will do them, that is, they will perfect them, tikkun. This is what the pasuk says. And now, yigdal na koyach Hashem, as we will explain, that it will expand the power of Hashem, it will draw down a revelation of Ein Sof that surrounds all worlds through the divine speech. And this is what it says, Yehei Shmei Rabba, that is, when we say Yehei Shmei with all of our strength, all of our capacity. And this is the idea that Yaakov gave 28 koyach of his years to David HaMelech. As we know, David HaMelech was not destined to be born until many of our great heroes of old contributed years of their life, as we see that they lived shorter times than we had anticipated, as is explained in other Maimarim. And that is, they contributed to the characteristic of David, as the Mimer will explain. Like it says that the living creatures, the chayos, carried the throne, and on this throne of Hashem in Yecheskel, there was the vision of man, and they carried it, they uplifted it, to the infinite light of Hashem. And this power was because they are rooted in a world of toyu, where there is overwhelming godliness, again, translated usually as chaos. And in the Pri-Eitz Chaim Ashar Shabbos, it says that when we say, Keser yitnu lecha malachim, a crown was given to you by the angels, this means that Chachma and Bina, which are called the malachim, and literally it means they were mighty of strength, Gebure Kairach, like Rashi says in the end of the Gemara in Kedushin, that they had the power to resist their Yetzer Hara. And this is what our sages say, who is mighty? He who can conquer his Yetzer Hara. Like the pasuk says, it is greater to be tolerant than it is to dominate cities. And the intent here being that through one smothering his Yetzer Hara, which is from the power of Gevura, of resistance, and thus even sweetening it so that it should be bottled to his Yetzer Tov, which comes from Av and Chesed. Through this, he draws down a sweetening of the Gevura from the level of infinite tolerance and abundant goodness. And through this, he will fulfill Hashem's words, that he corrects and he organizes divine word, which is called the city of Hashem, Irlikenu, which is, again, from the name of Elokim and the shame of Adni. And this draws down the increased koyach of Shem Adni, like it says, and now you will expand the power of Hashem through Hashem, who is long-suffering, Erech Apayim. This is what our sages say, that ultimately Hashem will call Yerushalayim a new name. That is this, that it says that its name is from Hashem being there, as it's explained again in the Medrash. And in the Medrash of Eicha, it says regarding these, the pasuk that says regarding these which I cry out, that it is the character of the Medina, of the state, where it is named after the king. Like it says, the name of the city from the day of that Hashem was there. And that's because Yerushalayim is a compound of Yira Shalem, complete reverence. And now it is thus called the Ir of Elokeinu, that Elokim has made us have fear before him, like it says in Koheles, but in the future time, it will be Yiru es Havaya, not Elokim. Total bittul, and through the revelation of Hashem as explained above. And this is through the avodah in the character of mighty strength, that this is those who fulfill his words. And through this, he can hear the words of his voice, literally. Now that is said only regarding Moshe, like it says in the Medrash and Tilm, that ultimately in Lasid Lavai, we will fulfill what Moshe said when he asked, quote, who will give to all of the people, or it should be given to all the people to be prophets, that we'll all be prophets, like in the story in Baruch. Regardless, now also in our avodah, through engagement in Torah, through our engagement in the words of Hashem's voice, like it says, I will place my words in your mouth, and it says, my tongue will taste your sweet words. However, we have to first have this idea of the Gebure Koyach, the mighty strength. So the Mimer now has an explanation on the above. Like it says, that the origin of the idea mentioned above, that we say, as we say, you recognize in the Friday night davening, that the ultimate deed, Soif Maisa, is what the original intent was, Machshav Tchila, that this is the quality called Chachmi Ilah, Hashem's Chachma, which is, Soif Maisa is that it's manifest down here from the Reisha D'Loves Yada all the way down to the level of Atzilus. Now, this idea of the beginning that's unknowable, that is drawn down from the Malchus of Adam Kadmon, this is the statement. As we said before, the statement and the deed are all one. And this is what it means, the ultimate deed. That means that which is ultimately invested from the highest level is in the level of Chachma that is called thought. And this is what it means. It's initially there in our thought. The idea of Torah and mitzvahs, that it says in the beginning in the Pasuk Eliyahu, that they have watered the tree, that is the Hey Chasodim, the 5 characteristics of limitless giving of Zeir Anpin, that nurture the Kalim, and from them you have the source of the 248 obligation mitzvahs. And the source of these Hey Chasodim is from the whiteness of the skull, that is from the ultimate origin of Chesed, all the way back from its basic conceptual origin. The 365 prohibitions are the quality called Ma, the 45, the Gevurais of Zeir Anpin, and they are rooted in the Gevura of Atik, in the origin of Atik, the conceptual idea. And Torah learning, which comes from the hidden understanding of Hashem, that is Hashem's intellectual perspective, which is the source of the hairs that grow out of the skull, which are the laws of Torah, just like the individualized hairs are the individualized laws. Now, The skull is the chitzonius, what's visible of Keser. And from there, it draws down the mitzvahs from the whitening that is between the hairs, as is drawn down the power of Zah that transforms into and becomes manifest in 613 specificities. Like it says in the Rabbi, the 613 pathways that are divided up amongst the Zah. But Torah, that comes from the hidden level of Mayach, which is the level of the Pnimius, that is the Chachma of Keser. That Chachma is the level of Pnimius, that means you fully understand it. Through Chachma, you clarify an idea, what is permitted and what is prohibited. And this is even higher than the mitzvahs, because the mitzvahs are a tangible and active enacting of the halacha. The Torah is the clarification of the halacha. The mitzvahs are the kelim. Like an employer who gives a certain instruction to his employees to put something somewhere. So he is the authority as to where this item is placed, and it goes where he wants it to be. Similarly, for example, the mitzvah of sukkah, Hashem wants it to be this makif, this surrounding, like the sukkah surrounds. And the study of Torah and how it should be. What is a sukkah? Not less than 7 by 7 tefachim and not higher than 20 amos. And if it's not in conjunction with it, so it's like the employee not obeying the employer and doing whatever he wants. So the balabas, the employer, tells the employee where he wants what he wants. And it's not up to the employee to decide, well, I want it some other way. And this is similar to what it says in the Zohar about the kav hamida, the measuring stick, the concept that there's going to be measurement, that we measure how something should be built. And this comes again from this hidden level in which we invest the gevura of atik, like we describe it as the kav hamida, that Bereshis is also one of the statements of creation because it allows for the idea that there's going to be measurement, that we measure how something will be. And this is what it means when the pasuk says, "Zeis Titus Adam." This is the Torah. It is man, for man, blood is his life. However, this idea of the water that nourishes, unlike sort of the innate state, which is expiry through blood, the water of Torah nourishes. And that's why Torah was given on Shavuos, because when we have the 3 festivals, you have Pesach, which parallels Avram, like we know he made matzah for the 3 guests after his bris milah. And we have Shavuos, which is for Yitzchak. Like we recognize the sound of the shofar at Matan Torah, which reminds Hashem of the ram that was brought instead of Yitzchak. Now, Avram is Chesed, which is the source of mitzvahs. Avram is Gematria 248, which are the 248 limbs and instructions. And this is why he's initially called Avram. And then he adds the letter Hey, that is the 5 chasadim, which is the source of mitzvahs, which are like water that nourish the tree, that are revealed through bris milah. Yitzchak is the union of Gevura, that Yitzchak, even though it means laughter and joy, but it is rooted in Gevura, and therefore on Shavuos is Yitzchak, because that's the time of Torah, because this is also the idea of Adam, as we mentioned. And that's why in the 10 commandments, we also have even something as harsh as murder, the prohibition against murder, that they should not spill blood, as explained above. And this is also the idea that the river is dried up and is destroyed. That is the first Beis HaMikdash and the second Beis HaMikdash, the 2 references to destruction. And this is the idea that they showed Titus, who destroyed the Beis HaMikdash, that there was blood pouring out of the Kodesh HaKadoshim, and he, as the Gemara describes, thought he killed, quote, himself, which is really a reference for something we don't want to say out loud as to whom he thought he had killed. That is, because of the sins of the Jewish people, they caused the pouring out of blood, the pouring out of the life of holiness into klipa, as is indicated in the prohibition of leitinaf, which is the prohibition against adultery, more literally not to be disgusted. As explained in Eitz Chaim, that the idea of the obligations of a husband to provide conjugal relations and clothing and food to his wife, that what is food, this is the idea of the chayas that is brought into the physical world, the or panimi. And garments is the idea of or makif. And all of this is drawn down in an orderly process. Like we say, through his goodness, he renews every day the deeds of creation. That is, that he renews and he gives life to them. That if not, the whole world would cease to exist. And concurrently, this chadshis is to renew them in this same manner. But the characteristic of the obligation of conjugal relations with his wife, that is the drawing down of something completely new, as it can result in the creation of a child, this that was not there previously, but is a completely new light to bring down new neshamas. And this is what it says in the Hagdama of Marina Harab Nasan Shapiro and the Priyetz Chaim, that when we add this, or they have this additional light, that we add something that had not already been there. As we explained, on Shabbos, we draw down something completely new, that we bring a gift of light that is completely new, that had not yet existed in the four worlds. And that's why Shabbos is called the great gift that I have given. That is otherwise hidden, and that's why we daven Musaf, because of the additional light on Shabbos. As is mentioned, the Priyetz Chaim, from which we understand that the idea of She'er and Ksusa, food and clothing, is drawn down from the chitzonius of the relationship. But Oina, that intense marital relationship, is drawn down from a level of panemius, something that is drawn from the most intense level, and thus it could create a new light. And this is the forewarning not to be disgusting, which is translated as adultery, not to draw down something like this into something that is ungodly. Similarly, when it says not to steal, that is by a person guarding himself from false presumptions, that he should not think that he has mistakenly think that he has broken his taiva. The truth is that that's false. And that is an idea of thievery, that the chitzonim steal away from kedusha, because he wants to break his taivas, and if he did, it would not be able to have any opportunity for it to reappear. And again, the Alter Rebbe brings source material for this in the Zayar. Now, through the fulfillment of mitzvahs and the engagement in Torah, through this, a person makes Hashem's word. That is, he builds and he organizes the word of Hashem, which is the malchus, the expression of Atzilus. That the matzil, the giver, the emanator, the infinite one, the king over the people. And through this, the people will obey. But the power for this, that he should make Hashem's word, that he should serve with the spirit of his heart, that is through the revelation of the secrets down to his people, that they said first their commitment to do, that through the revelation of this otherwise hidden love for Hashem, that they will evoke it from its hiddenness and make it revealed, through which they will draw down even this level of the hidden of the hidden. And this is the difference between the Jewish people when they were Makabel Torah and the way in which the Avos who preceded them fulfilled Torah. Like it says, in the place where the Baal Tshuva stands, even the complete tzaddik cannot stand. The reason being, as it says in the Zohar, that they draw down from a deeper stirring of the heart and a more profound intensity. That is, they take out from the point of the heart, from that which is most hidden to that which is revealed even more than the tzaddik. And this is the idea of this greater intensity, that is, with a greater strength than that which comes from the depths of the heart that is revealed. And that's why they arouse something that is even higher from this depth of all depths, based on this Rusa de la Sata. So too is this Rusa de la Eila. This is what it means regarding Matan Torah. The power of Hashem is B'koyach. That is, that since they prefaced Nasa, the level of the revelation of that which is hidden with the most profound, that is the Koyach Gadol and the Chazak from the depth of the heart, this is the quality of tshuva. And through this exodus from Egypt, they draw down from above the time of Matan Torah, from that which is hidden to that which is revealed. That is, even more than that which is drawn down by the Avos, who are the level of Tzaddikim Gemurim, that which they draw down is higher than Atzilus, but it didn't come down to this world. However, when the, quote, ordinary Yidden draw down, that they will listen to the word of Hashem, they draw down this revelation from above, that it should be engraved on the luchos. That is, it should be a cheres that draws down from the chitzonim, that it nourishes off of it, that is the dibor causes and it promises that there will not be the violations, won't be murder, etc. That no longer will those ideas be present. That is, the mere suggestion that thou shalt not murder includes is that one might have otherwise considered murder, and now we have negated them. And this is what it means when it says, who will reveal to my children the secrets of Torah? When it says me, who, that is the level of Bina, will reveal to my children this secret, Raz Zed. This is the foundational characteristic called the masculine father, that the hidden love, which is this level of Chachmi love, and its revelation through Bina, this analysis, this is the Nekuda Behechala. This is that main point, because Chachma and Bina are two inseparable friends. And we also suggest that when it says this Raz, this secret, this is the chasadim that are otherwise hidden in the feminine origin, in the motherly, like it says in the Medrash, Seid Hashem the Areya, the hidden things are revealed to Hashem, those who fear Hashem, and this is a reference to Bris Milah. That is because through Bris Milah, we reveal the chasadim that are otherwise hidden, just like the surgical procedure, which is called the level of Seid, that is the hidden love. And this is through the idea that we have been given the strength to draw down something from above, a revelation of the highest level to those who fulfill his word. Regarding this, it says to listen to his word. That means to his voice. This means, like it's explained in the Pasuk, for you will listen to his voice. That is that which is within, be called in his voice. And this is drawn down through his words, like it says in the Zayhar, from these words that we have heard. That is to listen to his words. And that's why there has to be those who make his words, like it says, for it is near to you this word that you shall do it. That is to do and to correct this level of word, that is to draw down this idea of call, of voice. And this is through Torah and mitzvahs, the secrets of all secrets. And this is why it says, do not just read the children, but those who build. You recognize it from Shachris davening, that through this we will be able to hear the words of Hashem.